I wasn't expecting Rabbi Pekarsky to mention that event. Well, this is the event from close to 30 years ago. It says, Tes Vav Elul Tavshin Mem Tes. It's what, 28 years ago? Now, Rabbi Pekarsky, you gypped me then, so I'm going to gyp you now. Because in this booklet, it's a booklet of 29 pages. 19 of it was my part, and 10 of it was your part. So today I'll speak much less, and I'll let you do the majority of the speaking. Okay, Rabbi Pekarsky mentioned that we're going to focus primarily on the halachos of hilchos Rosh Hashana. I think Rabbi Pekarsky is going to go after and speak about Aseret Yemei Tshuva and Yom Kippur. You know, every Yom Tov has its own Masechta. Besides for Shavuos, Shavuos is included in the regular Yom Tov Masechta Beya. When you think about the Yom Tov of Rosh Hashana, I think what's most important is to focus on the couple of mitzvahs of the day that are different than any other Yom Tov, or special. What you should review around Rosh Hashanah time, which is not just the regular Yom Tov. I'll throw out a question that's going to come up this year many, many times, and not that I want to discuss the question now, but the question, which is a touchy topic, is whenever we're going to have a bunch of 3-day Yom Tovim, and for the clean people, 3 days without a shower is a difficulty. So that's going to happen on Rosh Hashanah, that's going to happen twice in Sukkot. That's a discussion that you're going to have a lot of people asking. Whenever there's a 3-day Yom Tov, what stands out is usually you need to do Erev Tavshilin. Erev Tavshilin is a discussion, the whole Siman Shulchan Aruch. I do want to say that I'm part of a WhatsApp group, and I did see in today's one of the groups I'm on, I saw a discussion about a question in the hilchos Erev Tavshilin, which is 100% wrong. And that's why it's important to review the halachas. It's important to review the halachas because people have the tendency to answer questions on topics I don't think they ever learned through Be'iyun. If anybody would stand up besides Rabbi Gershon Grossbaum now and answer questions on hilchos mikvos, okay, I'm sorry, he might feel you're shooting from the hip. When was the last time you learned hilchos mikvos thoroughly Be'iyun and to be able to paskin? Hilchos Erev Tavshil. I love when people paskin the hilchos Erevin, how to make Erev. The person discussing the Erev, did he ever learn the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch hilchos Erevin? You know how complex, how difficult the halachas are. Even hilchos Erev Tavshilin, I'm just going to tell you a point that I know that there's a tshuva from Moshe Feinstein that discusses a common question about Erev Tavshilin, and that is, many people don't even need the Erev Tavshilin really, because they have all the food prepared. Let's say you don't have a lot of guests, you don't have a lot of family coming. B'emes, you have everything that you need prepared before Yom Tov. Should I make an Erev Tavshilin? If I'm not going to use it, do I have to make it? So there's a machlokes of poskim, and most of the poskim actually say you should make it because it's a takanas chachamim. The question is only if you should make a bracha. Because being that you're not really using it, should you make a bracha? But the takanas chachamim there is. So if there's a discussion, if I need the Erev Tavshilin when I'm only going to use it for the candles, you might have to make an Erev Tavshilin even without candles, because that's the chiyuv takanas chachamim. But again, that happens latmune. That happens in every single Yom Tov. Let's talk about some of the specialties of Yom Tov of Rosh Hashanah. All right, we are at the stretch run of Chodesh Elul. We all know what the Alter Rebbe says, that Chodesh Elul, the Melech is Basada. And because the Melech is Basada and he's Mekabel, every individual, whoever wants, B'Seiv upon him Yafis, it's our opportunity to ask for whatever we need. I actually saw some other Mishalim that will enhance this. We are not only in Chodesh Elul, we are in the last couple of days, we're saying Slichas. So in some Sfarim they say that the last couple of days is like when you go on a marketplace, you go on an auction, you go on a sale. Most of the good things, you go to a person selling esrogim. He sells his esrogim, and usually whatever is left, it could be that you might run into luck, that it's the last day, he'll give you the best price. What 3 days ago would have costed you $200, $300, $400, now because it's a day before Yom Tov, he'll sell it to you for $100, for $50. So some say that closer it gets to Rosh Hashana, it's like the end of the marketplace where you could get the biggest sales, and you have to chaparain. I did see another beautiful mashal. I know you're waiting for the halachas, but I think this will show us how we have to be prepared. I saw a beautiful mashal preparing for Rosh Hashana. There was this little community that was breaking away, and they needed a shul. So they were going to make a shul. So, fundraising to build a building or whatever. The most they were able to put together at this time was enough for a caravan. Like Beis Yisrael started with a couple of caravans. All right, and the time comes, and they got the money for the caravan, and the caravan, the home gets delivered, comes on the truck, and everybody's giving eitzes. When the truck is delivering the caravan, they're all giving eitzes. Push it this way, push it that way. All you need while the truck, the home is in the air, is a little tip here, until you get it into place. The thing is parked. The home is already parked. They open the door. It's backwards. Where the Aron Kodesh is supposed to be is a Ma'ariv, and this is a Mizrach. So the guy says, "What's the big deal?" The same 3 people who gave the eitzes before how to turn it around should stand now, pick up the mobile home and turn it around. He says, "Oh, chacham. As long as it's in the air, as long as the home is in the air, all you need is 3 people, or whatever it is, will adjust a heavy load like that. Once it parks, it's over." And that it says in Svarim is, in Elul, we have the koyach to twist and turn and push the heavy load to park in a good place. But remember, once Rosh Hashana comes, it's settled. The Gzar Din, hopefully, is L'Toiva. We have to prepare and set everything in the right direction. And it actually says that if you look at the setup of the months of the year, and the Jewish calendar begins on Chodesh Nisan, and it goes Nisan to Nisan. So what the Rambam says, that every act that a person does tips the scale. Right now, the end of Chodesh Elul, the beginning of Chodesh Nisan, is half-half. There's 6 months from Nisan to Tishrei, and 6 months from Tishrei to the next Nisan. So we are right now in the time that every mitzvah that we do, Baruch Hashem has the koyach to tip the scale for the good. Okay. Hey, Tavshin Ayin Ches, I'm sure Rabbi Zalman is going to give you many drashas about this, but some of the beautiful Rashi Tevis and I saw about Hey Tavshin Ayin Ches is Tehei Shnas Chaye Yolam, which again is Limud HaTorah. Tehei Shnas Eitz Chayim, which is again Eitz Chayim Lachaziknba, and this is what we're doing here. So in a couple of days there will be Erev Rosh Hashana, and we usher in the Yontif by Hadlakas HaNeiros. Hadlakas Neiros, again, what I'm going to try to focus on, what's unique about the Yom Tov of Rosh Hashana over any other Yom Tov. We have to know that in many Sidurim, the bracha that's made for Hadlakas HaNeiros is like a regular Yom Tov where you say, Lahadik Neiros Shel Yom Tov. Our minig is that on Rosh Hashana we don't say Lahadik Neiros Shel Yom Tov, Lahadik Neiros Shel Yom HaZikaron. That's our minig. It's so complicated that it's brought in the Sichos that the Rebbe or the Frierdiker Rebbe, I forgot who it was, actually asked, why is it written this way? Because everybody else says Shel Yom Tov, and I think the response was, just do what says in the Siddur. Even though there's a discussion and it makes very much sense that you should keep it as Shel Yom Tov, just do what it says in the Siddur, and there wasn't really too much explanation for it. All right, so we light the Yom Tov candles, Shel Yom HaZikaron, Shechiyanu, and then Yom Tov. Very, very important. The Frierdiker Rebbe writes that on Yom Tov, on Rosh Hashana, the Frierdiker Rebbe wrote very harsh, strong letters to the Talmidim especially, how they should utilize the time of Rosh Hashana. They should utilize the time of Rosh Hashana, try not to speak. If you're able to, try, and I'm going to say it because one particular person asked me particularly not to mention this, so I'm going to say, he says, could you break this myth about not sleeping on Rosh Hashana? So I'll tell you, it's not a myth. It says clearly in Shulchan Aruch, the Alter Rebbe says, if anybody's able not to sleep on Rosh Hashana, it's preferable, especially until after Tkiyas, during the day, because Shelo Yishem Mazaleh. It's not a myth. If you can't, fine, but at least you know it says the Alter Rebbe brings it in Shulchan Aruch. And the Arizal, it says if you have to, you could go to sleep. But the time of Rosh Hashanah is very precious. You try not to talk Devarim B'Teilim. I know there are some special people, even in our community, that don't talk on Rosh Hashanah. Spend most of your time saying Tillim. I knew about this saying Tillim, but I just heard somebody giving a drasha, and he actually says that it says in Sfarim that to say Tehillim twice the first night of Rosh Hashanah is a very, very big school. I'm telling it to you just because I heard it. He says many people were geholfen because they said Tehillim, the whole Tehillim twice the first night of Rosh Hashanah. If you look in the Sichos, you find that the Frierdiker Rebbe first night of Rosh Hashanah was a long davening, with Chiyas, the first night of Rosh Hashanah. But the first time I heard this, there's a segula to say the whole Tehillim twice the first night of Rosh Hashanah. I'll just add my 2 cents. I'm connecting it to something else I once read, that there are 150 kapitlach in Tehillim. Twice 150 is 300, which is the gematria of kapara. But I don't know if that's but it does say clearly if you could say Tehillim over the Rosh Hashanah, the Frierdiker Rebbe really pushed it. And if you could say if you can't do it yourself, split it up amongst your family. That's very important. Okay, starting Rosh Hashanah, there are inserts in the davening that we have to say. There are inserts in the davening. Can I get the siddur, please? Again, I'm going to stress all the things that are different, that are new. New. 1 second. I just want to get a Yiddish siddur. I don't know this English one. All right, so let's review the halachas of the things that we insert during davening. The first thing that we say is Zachrei. Now, there's going to be a difference between Yom Tif or Aseret Shemei Tshuva, because in Yom Tif, the whole middle section of Shemei Esrei, we don't just like Shabbos, you don't say anything which is a personal request on Shabbos and Yom Tif. So anything after HaMelech HaKadosh, HaKel HaKadosh, a regular Yom Tif, a regular Shabbos is not said. So HaMelech HaMishpat, for example, is not going to be an issue. It is. It's not going to be an issue on Yom Tif. It's only going to be an issue about Aseret Shemei Tshuva. Let's talk about what's throughout the whole 10 days. So the first thing we insert is, in the first bracha, we say Zochreinu L'chaim. Now let's split it. Let's split these halachas in 2 categories. There is what's mandatory, and there is what's extra. What's mandatory is the 2, HaMelech HaKadosh and HaMelech HaMishpat. Those are put them in the strict category. So much so, if for whatever reason you made a mistake and you didn't say the new thing that you're supposed to say in Aseret Shemei Tshuva, at some point you have to repeat. And even this itself is a split between HaMelech HaKadosh and HaMelech HaMishpat. I'll explain short soon. And then there are the 4 extra things, which those you don't have to repeat. It's a good thing to mention during Aseret Shemei Tshuva, starting Rosh Hashana. But if you missed it, you don't go back. Now there is a chiddush. People don't realize there is a very big chiddush here from the Alter Rebbe that not the Mishnah Berurah, not anybody else says. The Alter Rebbe says that when it comes to some of them, you actually you mention them b'mokim shenizkar. B'mokim shenizkar means if it still fits in, if you didn't say Baruch Atah Hashem, you are allowed to insert what you missed. Thank you. You needed the keys. Now, when you learn the Mishnah Berurah, you learn the other halachas. Whenever they tell you that you could go back to repeat what you missed, you think to say that you're going back to Zachreinu or whatever, and you continue what goes after Zachreinu. When the Alter Rebbe says, you mentioned that b'makom sheniskar, he's telling you just insert that one line here, and you don't have to repeat the whole thing. It's actually better not to repeat the whole thing, because sometimes a line or two later, you already said Hashem's name, and you don't want. It's no point to repeat Hashem's name again. You just want to insert that Zachreinu l'chaim or whatever it is. Now there is an interesting point to insert statements in davening at any point. B'makom sheniskar is only allowed with two conditions. And that's not mentioned in the Shulchan Aruch here. It's not mentioned in the Siddur here. But that you have to understand from the other halachas in hilchos tefillah. Condition number one is that you can't say a statement and insert something that makes no sense. You can't insert a word in the middle of a statement that doesn't make sense. It has to be able to fit in to what you're saying. And second of all, when you are inserting it, there's another halacha. If you're inserting it towards the end of the bracha, you have to know that the end of every bracha is condensing the siyum habracha. It has to fit. Again, it has to make sense to the end of the bracha. It can't be a statement that's not mentioned anywhere in the end of the bracha. So the bottom line, to make a long story short, I'm going to suggest everybody before Rosh Hashana that you open up the Siddur and you look at Zachreinu l'chaim, Melech Chavetz b'chaim, and you see what it says before. It says before, what happens if I forgot? What happens if I remembered right away? What happens if it passed over? HaMelech HaKadosh, Akel HaKadosh, HaMelech HaKadosh, that's the one, that's the strictest from the whole bunch. And that is, you repeat, but when you repeat, you start from the beginning. The reason why you start from the beginning is because all first three brachas are considered like one bracha. Okay, I'm not going to go through this. There's a gazillion details here about this halacha. But if somebody has a suffix, for example, if he said the right thing or not, the Mishnah Berurah says that if it's on Yontif, because a person is so focused during his davening on Yontif, he usually does the right thing. If it's on Yontif and he continued saying "Uvechein tein pachtecha," don't look at me because the Alter Rebbe doesn't mention this. If he continued already saying "Uvechein tein pachtecha," you could assume that he did everything correct, because on Yontif people are more focused. I say Shemei Tshuva, he says, huh? So if he's further, you could, and he's Chavtzich, I don't know if I said Akel HaKadosh or HaMelech HaKadosh. We find this concept in some other places too. All right, that happens already. That happens Rosh Hashana by night. You're starting to daven. Those are the extra additional things that we're saying. Oisa HaSholem. Oisa HaSholem is not even mentioned in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. It's not even mentioned in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch that you say Oisa HaSholem. That's something that's only mentioned in the Siddur. So much so that you'll find very interesting that Oisa HaSholem, you only say it during davening, you don't say it during benching. When you bench, you don't add Oisa HaSholem. And the Rebbe actually asked the Frierdiker Rebbe why it's that way, and the Frierdiker Rebbe said, and the expression is very interesting, after the deliberation, that with discussion we had, the Frierdiker Rebbe says, just say as it's written in the Siddur. In other words, it wasn't a simple matter. So Oisa HaSholem is only for Shemoneh Esrei, not my benching. I'll tell you a beautiful word from the Rebbe. And this you might, I think in this community, it used to be like this, I think it changed once we overflowed the Lubavitchers. But in many other communities, when the Chazan repeats the Shemoneh Esrei, so when it comes to all the inserts, the Chazan stops and everybody says it out loud. Lubavitch custom is I don't know if it's officially the Lubavitch custom, but the Lubavitch, I know it is, that you don't, Zachreinu l'chaim amicha moicha is not said out loud. And the end, Uchsoiv l'chaim toivim, uva sefer chaim, is said out loud, even during Chazar Shashatz. And it always bothered me, what's the reason? And I just heard somebody saying a word from the Rabbi, and lately I'm getting flashbacks. I once saw this word. The Rebus says a very geschmack word. The Rebus says that when a person davens Shemoneh Esrei, a person has to look at it as if he's entering the chambers of a king. That's what it is, yeah? And imagine when you go in lahavdil to a melech bus of Adam with requests. You don't go straight for the $1 million question. You butter him up and you ask slowly until you go for what you really came for. In halacha, that's called hamavakesh tzarich levakesh davar mu'at tchila. First, you ask for something small until you get what your question is all about. And that's why in Shulchan Aruch it says that in the beginning of Shemoneh Esrei, it says Zachreinu l'chaim melech chavetz b'chaim. And the end of Shemoneh Esrei, it says Chsoiv l'chaim toivim. Why don't we say Zachreinu l'chaim toivim in the beginning? Because Hamavakesh, Alter Rebbe brings Hamavakesh tzarich levakesh davar mu'at tchila. So you say Zachreinu l'chaim, and once you're getting comfortable with the Melech, at the end of Shemoneh Esrei, by the way, it shows you what Shemoneh Esrei is all about. Shemoneh Esrei is a time where you're getting comfortable with the Melech. So by the time you're at the end of Shemoneh Esrei, you could say, Eibishter, you're already giving Chaim. Those aren't Chaim Tovim. Chsoiv l'chaim Tovim. So the Rebbe, I heard somebody saying that the Rebbe says this. The Rebbe says, once I already said Chaim Tovim at the end of Shemoneh Esrei, how could I come back by Chazar Shashatz and say again loud, Zachreinu l'chaim? I got already the big prize. I already asked for the big prize. Chaim Tovim when I daven. How could I say it again loud? That's a vart. It's a geschmack of vart, but it teaches us all about how our approach to Shemoneh Esrei should be. All right, that's davening. Then we come home. We all know that the end of davening, just follow the machzor. Follow what it says in the siddur. Everything, all the instructions, how to wish your friend, what do you say? Everything says, and even that is a very big chiddush. I don't know if you realize, but if you look in the Shulchan Aruch, the Alter Rebbe says you wish your friend l'shana tova tikasev. Over here, in the common nusach, in the machzor, is l'shana tova tikasev v'tzechasim. There's actually a reason for this complication. The reason for the complication, because the Gemara says in